The show will begin momentarily. Please stay tuned. Hello, everyone. I'm the Disc Golf Guy, and this is my USDGC Throw Pink Women's Disc Golf Championships Day number 3 recap. I hope you're doing well. As always, because I am operating here as a one-man show, I'm going to just pause for a moment. I want to put out a few links, but also I want to get a little confirmation that everything looks and sounds adequate. Yes, I'm just going for adequate. I keep the bar pretty low here, the threshold and the level of expectations pretty low. So I'm going to wait for just a moment. And actually, I have to take the link, post it in a few places. So hopefully, some more people will join us, assuming that everything is working all right. So once I get that confirmation, once again, Joe PG, he's here. Ryan Pilcher says, I'm going to fall asleep in about 10 minutes into this. 10 minutes. You're giving me too much credit. And Joshua says, I've been enjoying your recap. So, with all that, I'm going to assume that you guys think that it sounds all right and that it is good to go. And I'm going to put one final link out there on Facebook. I think it's out on the Twitters. Now it's on the Facebooks. And if other people want to join, great. And if you don't, quite frankly, I don't know that I blame you. So super excited to be here tonight, as always. Yep, looks like this is all set from everything that I can see. Holy cow, how exciting. Let me make one more adjustment. And there we are. All right. So TGIF, insert any other end of the week cliche or excitement level for you guys. I've said for many years now, whenever you're in the world of disc golf, especially at this level of our professional tournaments, most of the work for a lot of people get done on the weekends. So although you guys might be enjoying your casual rounds, playing in a tournament yourself, or sitting back and enjoying the disc golf that's being put on, that's when so many of the other people are out there working. And so sometimes my concept of days of the week and time and all of that get a little bit thrown off. I guess that would be a good way to be. And I've said it countless times. It doesn't even really matter what day of the week it is to me. If we're doing something that's related to disc golf, I'm super excited and happy to be doing so. So I can't complain about it. Red looks like he's out there. Appreciate it. You say thanks for the hard work. Red, where are you coming in from? Singapore? Malaysia? I feel like I should know. I feel like it's Malaysia. But hope you're doing well. Paul says, good sound, but have a shave. I had this professionally cleaned up the other day. Well, it just goes to prove there's only so much help that I can get. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to jump into it. As always, I like to rely on our friends over at uDisc, the incredible scoring platform that they are, because then we can piece together some stories. Hopefully you guys were watching the live coverage. Hopefully you guys were paying attention to uDisc, doing all sorts of things like that. Maybe you're a day behind and you got caught up on everything that was from yesterday. I know a lot of people are really fired up about post-production. Well, it's out there. It's available. You can watch day one in a condensed post-production format, shot by shot, and you can also now watch day two in a shot-by-shot condensed format. That's all part of the pay-per-view model, but that's out there. And I think a lot of people have missed the message that there is, in fact, next day coverage. And I understand that it's behind the pay-per-view paywall, but it is available. So if you wanted to just go watch anything from day one or day two, the feature cards that were fully recorded all are out there and available. So you can go watch those. And then also, as soon as Vimeo catches up every day, that's when you see the full live broadcast, which is rewatchable, and you can go back to certain points. It just takes a little while for Vimeo to catch up. So we are going to, I think if I do this correctly and don't show any bank account information, I think I can click on this, and there it is, the Throw Pink Women's Championship. we're going to take a quick look at this. Some of the things that came out, as I guess, I don't know if I have to tell you spoilers, but we're going to talk all about today. And today saw some madness out there. Uh, I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to start with what I feel like is as fair or unfair as it may seem. The story of the day this morning was definitely the fact that Paige Pierce struggled mightily today. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and say maybe the most struggle I've ever seen out of Paige Pierce in knowing her in the last almost 14, 15 years, or at least 10 or 11 in a very serious professional way of her playing pro. Just a day for, unfortunately for the ages for her. She started out the day in first place. She ends the day in 17th place. I don't believe I'm even uttering those words as I have to say it. And things got off to a rough start, missing the Mando to the right, then having to re-tee, missing the Mando to the left, and then ultimately getting down there and having to make a sizable putt. I heard it was both inside the circle and outside the circle. It's marked as 38 feet on uDisc, but having to work hard, and that's to open with the triple bogey. You see that she struggled on hole 3 with the double bogey, finding the OB again. And then really, I mean, that was just kind of the theme the rest of the round, is just peppering her scorecard. I guess peppering's not even the right word. I mean, at that point, that is a bag of pepper that just is getting dumped. That's a dump truck of it. And I don't mean to make light of it, and I'm not, but I mean, look at the OB. She had 14 out of bounds throws. I mean, you can't score well when you have 14 out of bounds throws, and not on that course, at least. Well, should be any course probably. Otherwise, it'd be really crazy, including 3 on the final hole. So that was kind of, dare I say, the story of the day. It just seemed like every single thing that could go wrong did for her. And I mean, it's almost not even worth recapping the actual percentages and whatnot. They just was really, really poor in every possible way. And so a very rough day for Paige. I don't think there's anyone in the world. Even if you're not Paige's #1 fan or your top 50 fan, nobody would ever say like, oh yeah, man, I really hope she has that kind of day. I don't see that coming out of anyone ever. And it was, yeah, it was unfortunately, it was just too bad for her. That was clearly a bad day. So, on the more positive side for, we'll say, the rest of the field, though, when you scroll up, and right next to Paige, and I did have a conversation with her, and it is all on the exclusive coverage, also on Disc Golf Network, and I certainly invite you to go. Please check it out. I had a great conversation with Sandy Hendel, and that is available. She had herself a great day. She had one of the best rounds of the entire division today at -4, and you can see how she did it. She had 6 birdies, 2 bogeys. Great round. She was a great interview. I really enjoyed talking to her, so please go check that out. So we scroll up a little bit. Also, I did have a conversation with Kat Murch, and that is available as well. She also shot -4, so one of the other hottest rounds. And then the single hottest round on the day was Macy Valadia. She had a 5 under, picking up 6 birdies and the 1 bogey. Missy Gannon, she's your new leader. She also shot the 4 under, and kind of similar to Macy in the sense that she had similar birdies, in fact, and 1 bogey. So if you look at some of the statistics, she didn't really do a whole lot of work in terms of struggling to pick up some of those birdies and pars. Her putter was going early, 27 feet, 27 feet, 49 feet. And then everything after that was really good conservative play that netted her mostly pars along with a few birdies. So incredible performance by Missy out there. Again, 4 under was the second hottest round out of all players. There was, I believe, 3 of them. And Macy Valadiaz, I haven't done that in a while, had the 5 under. So a little quick tip. Most of you probably know this, but if you ever wanted to actually sort within uDisc, you can do this on your phone as well. If you want to sort by the total, which total usually is the same as sorting by position, but if you want to sort by the total, or if you want to sort by round, and when you click on that obviously the first time, it'll give you the starting with the best rounds. You click on that the second time, it'll give you the not so best rounds, which is rarely would you see Paige Pierce on that side of things when you do the sort, but that's something that's available to you as well out there. Um, yeah, again, some of you may or may not find that valuable. Or uh, one thing that I'm doing throughout the day is as players are coming in and you're not there, of course, it's rating them, or I should say, it's sorting them by their total score as it should be. But I may want to know, well, who has how many holes left? And you can click on the little through button, and that will also tell you who's still out there, and it'll go in order of who's completed the round versus who's still out on the course. So those are all things that you can do. Maybe find that valuable. So there's Missy Gannon, Haley King, a little bit more quietly. She moved up 3 spots off the chase card today. She had 3 birdies out there. 3 bogeys, along with 5 birdies. Kept things a little bit quiet in the front where you really need to pick up your score, but then picked up some legit bonus birdies out there on the back. Valerie, a little bit of a roller coaster today, some ups and downs, finishes with the double bogey. And then Owen Scoggins, really no surprise when you're looking at someone that's going to have mainly pars, always some birdies, and then very few bogeys. Owen Scoggins is usually your best bet for that. Her, along with a very similar game that you would see out of Heather Young in most rounds. Heather today just had the 1 birdie and then had a number of bogeys and whatnot. But usually in most weather conditions, in most cases, you're going to find that their scoring is actually pretty similar. And they both admit that's from a little bit of lack of their distance out there on the course. All right. Something I harped on a little bit yesterday that's I feel far less relevant today, even though there was some really good scores. Yesterday, I was talking about how you can very easily look at the average scoring statistics. You can do it on any given hole. They also have this really cool feature, the longest throw in. You can click on that. You could sort by that. But normally what I would do is I would sort by average, and then that will tell you what the toughest hole is relative to par, and then what the easiest hole is relative to the par, or you could just hit the button again. Round 3, 6.64 over par is how the course played. Excuse me. You compare that to what we saw in round 2, 6.03, and in round 1, 7.46. So it didn't play as difficult as day 1, but it definitely played more difficult than a much better conditioned round number 2. Maybe that's no surprise to most of you, but it's just so incredible. Again, if you're a stats geek in any way, shape, or form, there's so much you can come out and find when you just do some clicking around on uDisc. You look at the course stats, and then you can always then break down and look at the individual hole, which should have a basic T sign. And then you can look at what players were doing, and it'll tell you it's the 9th most difficult, what they averaged, who got what. And then this is also where they'll break it down and tell you every single player and what they scored on that hole. So it's awesome. You can always click on the next hole feature. It goes right to the next one, so on and so forth. You'd think I would like I'm a paid shill by uDisc, and I'm not. I just can't say enough about how incredible the tool and the resource is that they built a number of years ago. Matt and Josh, and now an entire staff and crew. So those are all things that we're seeing very tight. I think that's maybe one of the most exciting parts about this at the end of the day. Looked like Paige, she had a 5-stroke lead in round 1. Didn't play great, but still left with a 5-stroke lead in round 2. And now everything is tightened back up. Missy Gannon has a 1-stroke advantage over Haley and Valerie, 2 over Owen, 3 over Macy, and so forth. You would maybe think, okay, well, hey, the top 5 are really the ones that are most in the running. I'm not going to say that. I mean, you have Heather Young, Kat Murch, Sarah Holcomb, who's made a lot of late charges at events lately, Deanne Carey, so on and so forth. Just so much can happen out there, depending on the weather and what are how things are shaking out, really. And it's at this course more than almost any other course. You're like, okay, well, there's a difficult hole that they have to wrap up on, or the last 2 or 3 holes kind of have this stretch that can be a little bit more challenging. No, like at this course, you can start giving away your entire round or your entire tournament on literally any single hole out there. And I think our players recognize that. They know that. You cannot rest at any point mentally or physically or whatever it is. You have to be on your toes at every single moment. And you hear a lot of players say, you throw one errant shot and then that slips into being a second shot, or that shot then takes you to a drop zone where it's very difficult to get up and down, and you're not saving your bogey. You're now taking the double bogey, whatever it might be. There's just so much danger on every hole out here. So we'll have to see what will happen and what will come as a result of it. But certainly awesome. A couple people quickly on the board. Thank you guys so much for joining. First and foremost, I've got some people are liking. They always say you're supposed to smash that like button. You can just click on it. I don't need you to smash anything. Just click on it. If you want to do that or share it, whatever, that'd be great as well. I appreciate that. Thank you guys so much. And already 3 dislikes. You guys, some real sweethearts out there. Quick shout out to my non-sponsor, but still my my friends over at Founders out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. They do support the guys over at Gatekeeper. I'm going to have to reach out to them a little more strongly. They produce a barrel-aged Scotch ale that I have discovered and fallen in love with in not too long ago. And they're tasty and delicious. So I don't I don't know if you can dare make a prediction. I mean, what you can do at this point is you can pick your favorite player and root for them to pull through, but there is no one running away with this. There is no one that has it wrapped up or in control or locked away, anything like that. It's crazy that I look at an Owen Scoggins who through 15 holes only had 2 birdies and a bogey. I mean, just played par golf and then finished actually with a birdie or 2 birdies and 1 bogey. Like just even keel, and how much even keel can do it for you. Today she shoots 2 under. She's back to even for the entire tournament, and she moved up 2 spots to do that. It's incredible. Excuse me. Stephanie Vincent also had a really solid round out there. Stephanie almost kept the scorecard clean as well, and she shot the 4 under. I wanted to get that shout out in there because there were a number of 4 unders. And the fact that some of the best scores that we've seen this weekend in the FPO side came out today is a little almost mind numbing because they had absolutely the worst conditions today. So I don't know what to make of that. But what I can do is we're going to head over to the USDGC. I was going to say the MPO side. These are 2 separate tournaments. The USDGC, the United States Disc Golf Championships, in its 22nd iteration, is in fact a PDGA major. The Throw Pink Women's Disc Golf Championships is an A tier. So it is not a major. We played the Women's National Championships here at this event last year, or at this property, and in the same weekend. And it was a major. It was deemed that last year. But that was all with some unique provisions due to COVID and everything else that was taking place. So we'll see how that continues to grow and thrive, and the difference that's made from one event or one year to the next. Also, just so you know, when I'm done talking about the MPO side here, I will go back and I'll try and get caught up a little bit on some of the comments that you guys have been leaving, and I can get those answered and run through those for you. But let's take a look. I think if I get real fancy or not, click on this. I'm going to bring you back over to the scoring, and then what I need to do is simply go to USDGC instead of the Throw Pink. I'll click on that, and here you go. spoiler alerts again. What a day! What a moving day. Make moves, whatever hashtag you want to throw out there. Paul McBeth, certainly the story of the day on the USDGC side, shoots the hottest round of the tournament in the worst conditions. Quite frankly, it doesn't make sense. Some of you heard Paul talking about maybe it's easier to focus or making sure that he slows down, whatever the case is, and still goes through his routine and takes his time. Certainly, there's something to be said about having the caddy, being prepped in that way, and then making all the putts that I kind of feel like he's been missing so often lately. He made a ton of putts. Let's drill down on that. He's listed here. Hole 5, a 49-footer. Hole 7, 38 feet. At Circle's Edge on 9, 10, 38 feet. 13B, 38 feet. And then 327-footers on 15, 16, and 17. Now, those are kind of a range that is input into uDisc when they get into certain areas. I think each of the circles are broken up into 3 different ranges. So that's why you see a lot of similar numbers. He didn't really have that many putts right at 16 feet. They're taking, again, a range. There's what's the word I'm looking for? Zones within each circle, and that's how that gets put in there. But most important, 95% fairway, maybe not so much. 100% scramble, one opportunity. C1X putting in those conditions is 89%. And we saw some of that on the FPO side, on the throw pink side. We saw Missy Gannon, I believe, was 89% as well. Very impressive. Just, I think when you're looking at those opportunities, they're challenging as they are. But then the fact that you had the weather that we did today is truly incredible. So you see how he got it done there, mainly on the putting green. He had 0 OB throws, 0 missed Mandos, all of that. Solid performance. Missed what some would consider one of the easiest holes in hole number 1, but had a really good, strong finish. And I think he picked up cleaned up his scorecard by 4 strokes on 17. If we drill down, we can click on profile, scroll down a little bit, and we look at, hole 17 in the same exact position. Yesterday, we saw him struggle to get onto the green and took a 6. Today, he takes the 2 and picks up, that's 4 strokes for those of you that don't want to do math here on a Friday night. So absolutely incredible. I look at what he did here, with the triple and the bogey in rounds 1 and 2, and then comes back and in round 3 gets the birdie and the par. So clearly finishing out and closing strong, certainly crucial there. And you think ahead about, I feel like, and maybe they would argue otherwise with me, any of our players, I feel like there's a certain element of confidence that, if you just played, whether it's a 3-round event or a 4-round event, whatever you did in the previous round, if you struggled on a hole and you're trying to come down the stretch in the final round, and you struggled on that hole the day before, it's just not quite the confidence booster. So to know that he performed so well on it, and he's played it dozens of times, I get that, but to know that you've closed out strong and that you're, that's fresh in your mind, and that could be said of Chris Dickerson, of Drew Gibson, of Martin Hendel. I mean, look how all of those guys closed out. The fact that group, the entire lead card for tomorrow, close things out that way. What do they average? 2, 3, 4, 2, 4, 6. They shot 6 under on those 3 holes as a group today. And I think that's pretty impressive. Wysocki had a little bit of a stall today. He didn't really have a lot of momentum going and then kind of stalled throughout. Kyle Klein certainly putting on a good show, jumping himself up 13 spots. So this little number is right here. Those are the amount that he went up. 13 positions. Nate Sexton pretty much held his own. Joel Freeman pretty much held his own, as did Simon. Not a whole lot of movement there. The only other, big movers that were way up near the top is Terry Roethlisberger, who bounced back after that double on 2 really well, but then eventually found trouble on 10 through 13 and finished with the +1. He's now in 12th place. We'll see what he can do. Gannon Burr, really slow start, as did Ezra Aderhold, as did Isaac Robinson. They all had slow starts, but then all managed to pick some things up. I think that's what's so bizarre to me is when you look at some of these stretches, you look at a Gannon Burr who somehow, starts with 6 pars and then turns it on in the back. But you compare that to an Emerson Keith, or even a Barry Schultz. Let's go back. Let's go back to Barry Schultz specifically and compare and contrast. And this has to mess with your confidence just a little bit. You compare and contrast what he did on the first 6 or 7 holes. Day 1, he gets 6 out of 7. Day 2, he only gets 1 out of 7. In fact, picks up 2 bogeys. And then day 3, similar to day 2, unfortunately for him. And that's your birdie zone, folks. I don't care what anyone says. That is where the birdies can be picked up. I don't want to say the easiest, but that is a good common place for you to go pick up. Easiest might be the official word. I don't know, but that's where you need to pick up a lot of birdies. I think Matty O talked about it. Like, you're always trying to have those birdies in your pocket because you know that the back 9 looms. And if you're at all off, you're going to pay the price. See, this section of guys, look at all these guys here, big time birdies and eagles, not so much on the back. And I think that's kind of a general theme. This entire pocket of people, all really good on the early section and in the middle a little bit, but then really falling off on the back. Those are things that I think you think about again as the tournament starts to close itself out, which now is going to be tomorrow. Drew Gibson somehow still shoots a 6 under with 6 OBs. He had 6 OBs yesterday and shot a 9 under. And round 1, I'm going to click on him. I wanted to double check. And I believe the interview's out there, but I can tell you, I asked him, I said, are you trying to win this tournament, but do it with the most out of bounds strokes ever? And right now, Drew has what looks like 16 OB throws, 4, 6, and 6. And he's actually still in the hunt, which tells you just how incredible everything else that he's been doing. Racking up an ace doesn't hurt, but to know he's just a couple strokes off the pace and he has put together 16 OB strokes. Let's just for a moment compare that. He's got 16 OB strokes, and then you take a look at Chris Dickerson, who I believe has maybe 5 or 6 total, if even. 6. It makes me chuckle just thinking about it. Chris has 3, 4, 5. Chris has 5. Drew Gibson has 16. The two of them are just 3 strokes apart from one another. You make up your own math from there, but that's pretty incredible. Michael Johansson, obviously off to an incredible start as well, picking up the first 6 holes, picked up 8 out of the first 10, and then the back train came rolling through, unfortunately. So those are some of the things that are jumping off the page at me. Tough to see. I saw Matt Bell warming up this morning. I saw him go out, and I'm unsure as to what had happened. Maybe somebody knows a story out there or some details, but I am just now noticing that for the first time. I saw the stop in scoring at one point today, but I assumed either he was just behind or maybe the phone died or something for that group. But it looks like an official DNF for Matt Bell. Nothing more than just a wild guess. He slipped, maybe hurt something in slipping in some of that rain, and then decided not to continue after injuring himself. That is nothing more than a wild guess. We could start some rumors on the internet. I think that's how they get started. So that's what I can tell you guys about that. or not. And yeah, that's what we saw for the scores. Oh, the other quick thing I'll do, simply because I did it yesterday, is yesterday I was talking about the scores on the USDGC side. Real quick, in round number 1, the course averaged 0.56 below par. 0.56. Round number 2, they figured it out. It averaged 1.68 under par. And in round 3, it averaged 2 over par. So far more drastic on the MPO side than on the FPO side today. A lot more bigger numbers, at least, and so overall pushing up the overall score. Wow! So it went from just a 1 or 1.5 under par to a little over more than 2 over par. Certainly a significant change. All right, guys, let's take a look at some of the comments that have been coming in. I'm hoping there's a whole bunch about the pay-per-view. And I'm just kidding. I'm being facetious there. All right, let's take a look. I'm going to scroll back up. I can't say it enough. Thank you guys so much for joining. It's Friday night. We're talking disc golf. And let's see. Robert was saying, Paige, certainly a rough day out there. I'll reword your phrasing. And yes, it was. Paige will tell you that. Everybody will tell you that. She's competitive enough and honest enough with herself. And whether there's any external factors, whether something physical or mental or anything else is a factor to that or is part of it, I can't say, because I didn't talk to her today after the round. Could have just been an absolute disconnect between her brain and her arm. It's tough to pinpoint that. I'm guessing we'll hear about it one way or another. She's usually good for like an Instagram post that will explain herself. Not that she needs to, but I feel like she's usually good for one of those. And so maybe we'll hear something from her. But certainly, you can take this to the bank, so to speak. If someone's, I would have bet my house, which is not that valuable. I would have bet my house, though, that if someone ever said, oh yeah, Paige is going to drop 17 positions or 16 positions and have 14 OB strokes during a round, her third round of a tournament she's played a number of times, I would have absolutely bet the house against it. In fact, there was people yesterday were talking about if she's going to win by double digits or not. And now here we are, just clearly a bad day. And I'm not going to make excuses. And I can't really even postulate as to what was all going on, but proving she is 100% human. And again, if you're at all a fan of disc golf, there's no way you would have ever predicted that. Nobody in a million years would ever say, yeah, I think she's got like a 16 over in her or an 18 over or whatever. Nobody would ever assume something like that could happen. How on earth could she average bogey golf today and went 7 under on the first round? I mean, again, she's just so dominant that she played really well. She played, I'll say, quote unquote, normal for her in the first 2 rounds. And then she had arguably one of the worst rounds of her life. Not to make light of it, but if I think back to a lot of people criticizing Ricky Wysocki a week ago, if Paige's round was a putt attempt, it would be Ricky Wysocki's playoff putt attempt from the Music City Open, where Ricky just said, no, I didn't throw it. No, I didn't lay it up. I just simply had the worst putt of my career at the worst time. And same could be said of Paige maybe today. Worst round of her career at the worst possible time. All right. 151 people. Yes, appreciate it. Mountain Man and Highbridge. Looks like, I think the Wisconsin Disc Golf Tour Championships or finale is going on this weekend up in northern Wisconsin. Something near and dear to my heart for many years. And although I'm rarely in Wisconsin, I hope everyone, John Turlap, all the rest of the crew up there are up there killing it. Was today's round ending her chances to win worse than her approach shot at Worlds or the final to lose. I mean, here's the kicker. I mean, could she shoot 12 under tomorrow? Be in some kind of contention? Could she shoot a 14 under and a few other women flail? Sure. Am I going to count on that either? No. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I don't know how we could actually talk about it more and not, dare I say, beat it to death, because there's just not much more I feel like that can be said about it. And I can't stress enough, somewhere, and I'm sure she's trying to have that short-term memory, but somewhere she's owned it and lived through it all today. And now all she can do is get past it. Me and thousands of others lamenting on it at this point isn't going to do any good. And I'm hoping that she's not. I'm trusting and assuming she's doing the same by not lamenting on it. I think lamenting is the right word. I sometimes say the wrong words. Why isn't there an option to pay for a single day stream? Not complaining, just curious if that was thought of during the whole pay-per-view discussion. That's a great question. That might be a physical limitation or a programming limitation. Maybe not. Some of you have realized that Vimeo is, of course, the back-end solution to the platform. And I just, that's, dare I say, above my pay grade. I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if there's more challenges. Here's what I would say is, and this is me speaking, just guessing. Some might think or realize there's more challenges when you're dealing with that many more customers and potential issues for what would be a one-day payment. That's just a guess. That's all I can do is guess on that. Was it talked about? Maybe. It very well probably was, and I was not privy to those conversations, if there was. What do you think of Missy Gannon being in first? I guess we kind of touched on that already. Yeah, I don't think anybody would be surprised. I mean, we saw her win the Des Moines Challenge, and the Des Moines Challenge, it's not like, oh, well, that was just, an easy walk in the park either. It was an Elite Series event with top-level players at it. We've seen her win a Silver Series. We've know how insane she is at her putting and how consistent she can be with that. So I don't think you could really be too surprised. I don't think you're really surprised by anyone that's in the top on the FPO side. I think I kind of said that. And truthfully, the same could be said on the MPO side over at the USDGC. But yeah, I'm not shocked. She's playing good golf. Michael's guessing that Paige's frustrations or challenge came because she missed the first hole so badly. It tilted her early and ruined the round early. It might have. She might have lost some confidence in either her throw or her mental state of mind. That's absolutely plausible. Let's hope she bounces back tomorrow. Or some thoughts? Yes, I thought uDisc was broken when I saw her score earlier today. Yeah, I could understand that, because you're like, huh? Is there someone? Yeah, is the scorekeeper having a problem? What's going on? I could certainly see that. We get a recap on a tournament no one can watch. FU disc golf. Wow, Robert Kitchens. Your word choice is poor and inaccurate. You're saying that no one, with the wrong form of one, no one can watch. Thousands, if not tens of thousands, watched. I don't know if you're calling yourself a no one. Everybody can watch. Everybody that chooses to buy the pay-per-view can watch. So to say no one can watch is wildly inaccurate. And I already went off on a rant last night about this weird entitlement of disc golf. And I understand there's frustrations. I understand some people don't get it and will never get it. And that's fine too. I don't always agree with every decision ever made everywhere. But, and I'm not towing any company line here by any means, but just because something exists doesn't mean you get it and you get it for free. And it's such a weird entitlement disc golf has maybe set itself up for. And there's a lot of people that are arguing about growing the sport or slowing the sport or who's being greedy. I think a lot of that conversation is wildly um, uneducated, is what I would say to that. And that's where I'll leave it for now until I get worked up later. Nelson went on to say, anyone can watch. Thank you. 100, yes. So sorry, I'm trying to read down. Most amazing shot I saw today. Chris Cobb asks. Chris, I hope you're well, buddy. Out in Arizona. Thanks for all the love and support always. I'm gonna go ahead and say I don't see too many shots. I am pretty much watching for this week. I'm largely watching uDisc and then seeing who's finishing their rounds, and then also thinking not just about what they've shot, but also is there a good additional interview and backstory to that person that maybe the world would like an update on. Again, go check out the exclusive coverage and the interviews, the bonus interviews that are on the Disc Golf Network right now, where I catch up with Albert Tom, get a great, piece out of him. He didn't play the best golf of the day, but he gave us a really good update and informational piece. There's a number of those. Like I hope a lot of them for you. And that was kind of the premise of me being here and doing what I'm doing this week, is to give you guys some additional. Brian Schweberger is not playing in the event. He's caddying for Corey Ellis. He's been here like 18 times where he's competed. And I talked to him day one. And I'm just going to say, if you don't find value in that interview, if you watch it, I'm not sure what you're looking for. You're not getting a recap of every single shot that he threw 6 years ago. You're not even getting necessarily a Corey Ellis recap. You're getting a little bit more behind the scenes and a little more insight to Brian Schweberger, who has 309 wins in the PDGA and clearly knows how to play some golf. Today, I talked to Eric McCabe, again, not playing. Talked about a little bit about dynamic disc, but the state of disc golf, some of the things that the 2010 world champion is up to while he's here, also supporting his team members at the USDGC. And same could be said of Sarah Cunningham after round number 1 on the throw pink side. It wasn't that she shot the hot round. It was about like, hey, what is the 2010 women's world champion up to? And hearing she has 3 kids and how she splits up her time. Those are all part of my overall assignment for the week. And I hope you guys enjoy them. I feel like our sport says often we need more backstories. We need more info. We need to get to know these people more. So yes, you're going to hear from our top performers week in and week out about the scores that they've shot and their strategies. But this week, it's been great to connect with a lot of people. I don't want to say I'm randomly plucking them, but connecting with people and then having anywhere from a 3 to a 8-minute interview with them and getting to know them and or their backstory a little bit. So those are all out there. Those are available all on the Disc Golf Network through the passes. Valerie beats Paige in a playoff tomorrow. I'm calling it, Nicholas says. That's a bold call. That's saying that Paige is going to catch all the way back up to Valerie. Is it insane? Man, I don't think insane's the word. Is it likely? Man, that's going to take some serious work out there. And to put that in perspective, Valerie is 1 under par. She's 1 off the lead. She's 1 under par. Paige Pierce sits in 17th and is 10 behind her at 11 over par. Wait, no, so 12, sorry. 1 under to plus 11. Do the math. That's 12 strokes difference. Let's just say it. We've all seen crazier things. Okay. Reading further, Chris says, wow, I lost my wrench. Chris, did you have one here on my channel? Well, you do now. I just made you a moderator 2 seconds ago. I think you have a wrench probably for Smashbox and maybe for the Disc Golf Pro Tours channel. But if you didn't have one for my page, I just granted you one, my friend. I love you. Sue says, I'm not counting out Haley. nor should you. Seeing her taking this down, if she has a round like she did at GMC, there's no doubt. I will absolutely echo that for sure. I mean, we all know what Haley's capable. Haley could come out here and birdie 5 out of every 6 and shoot a 15 under. I wouldn't be like, oh my God, I didn't see that coming. I would believe it. Ricky battle. Well, right now, Ricky's going to be on the chase card. He's going to be on the top of the chase card. So that's something to keep in mind. Not that they can't have a battle, so to speak, from 2 separate cards, but they are on, he's on the chase card. Why is there no coverage of the event besides pay-per-view? I think that was largely to encourage the pay-per-view viewership. And again, there will be coverage. The shot-by-shot post-production coverage will be available in roughly 30 days on, I'm not sure if it's just the other Disc Golf Network general page or if it's going to be on the some individual YouTube pages. It'll be available. I feel like it'll be maybe on a YouTube page. Maybe it's the Pro Tours YouTube page. I'm not honestly sure. But I know it's going to be available after 30 days. Then it can all be watched there if you're not buying it through the pass. Ricky does need to buckle up. If Paul is putting, it's done. That's a good point. Will the coverage be free tomorrow? No, the coverage will not be free tomorrow. Again, this is not a standard Disc Golf Pro Tour event. This is, in fact, the USDGC and the Throw Pink Women's Disc Golf Championships, and therefore entirely different set of standards isn't the word I'm looking for. It's just a totally different protocol that's being held, and that's implemented ultimately through Innova. Jed said, I said, Paul had an unfocused season. He came out strong today to prove a point. Paul wins. I'd bet just about anything on it. Jed, there's a lot of people that would bet against you. Yeah, I don't think there's going to be any major surprises of anyone that wins tomorrow, but I think some people would certainly bet against you in that situation. It's just way too tight of a battle. How big was the gallery for the McBeth, Eagle, Simon, and Sexty card? It was definitely sizable. I felt like a lot of cheers. Those are the few of the tee shots I actually did watch from hole 1 today in person. I walked over there, and there was a lot of people lined up on hole 1. And again, what a dream card to go out and follow. The only thing that could have been maybe better for the world or the fandom is if they were in fact the lead card at the time. But yeah, certainly a large, great gallery out there. After 10 plus years of being the best, he may only care about the big ones. I'm not sure. I'm guessing you might be talking about Paul. Man, I know Foundation mentioned it. Would be a big group following Paul's card, but I wonder how many people were following his. Kind of talked about that a little bit. Barry's certainly one of the GOATs. All right. I think I've got a lot of that. So, Patrick, getting wild, having an issue with the PDGA. I don't know why you would be, especially in this case. That's what I feel like would be a great place to would be displaced blame or frustration, but that's fine, I guess. Call me a shill for the PDGA. I've been an active member since like 1995, since I was in high school. I'm not sure what you're so mad at. All right, so here is I'm going to sidetrack from the USDGC for just a moment. I did see this on a debate group, and granted, some of the other humor and debate groups can go sideways very quickly. I'm not going to call them pointless. Once in a while, there's interesting topics out there, and I thought this one was interesting, so I'd love to just quickly bring it up, and it's not related to USDGC specifically. The question was, if there is a playoff, and maybe this could happen tomorrow, if there's a playoff and someone cards an ace in a playoff, and let's take this to, I'm going to use a few extremes, play for in a little hyperbole here maybe, but You're at your local C tier. There are 90 people playing. You have 10 different divisions, ranging all the way from FJ2 all the way up to MPO and everything in between. You have 10 different divisions. And the question is, let's say there is no ace that is hit. You've played a round of 18 in the morning, a round of 18 in the afternoon, and maybe the tournament director, I know I myself, I always like to put out the specifics where I say, if no aces hit, half will go to some charitable foundation and half will go to the parks department or whatever the case might be. That's what I personally like to declare in the registration process. People can decide if they want to support that or not. Here's the question, though. If there's a playoff in any given division and someone aces during the playoff, and that's the only ace of the day, do you feel like that ace in the playoff should be awarded the ace pool? And if you're not familiar with ace pools, I'd be glad to help you out. But I would love to know the thoughts from all of you guys that are out there. I do think this is a very interesting debate topic. I genuinely, I guess my eyes have been open that I don't think there's a steadfast, absolute right or wrong. This is with the assumption nothing else was specified in, we'll say, the registration process. Nothing was specified about playoff holes and how it relates to an ace pool. So nothing is outright determined. Again, my exact phrasing for my tournaments that I host say, if no aces hit, it gets split from, in these two ways or three ways. And I personally, well, I'd like to see what some of you guys think before I fully chime in with me and my logic. Jed says an ace is an ace. I'm not denying it's an ace. I'm not denying a hole in one happened or that they shouldn't win the playoff or whatever. I'm not denying any of that. I'm asking, should that ace be awarded? So you played 18 holes in the morning, no aces hit. Those 90 people played 18 holes in the afternoon, no aces hit. The FA3 division, that's recreational women, there's a playoff. Three-way playoff. Wow, I could really make this I could really make it sound funny, but there's a three-way playoff. They go 10 holes. On the 10th hole, one of those three women, they've pushed all these holes in sudden death. On the 10th hole, one of these women throws it in for the ace. She outright wins the tournament at that point. Sudden death playoff for first. She wins the tournament. Does she get the ace pool? That's the question. Also, just as a clarifier, I mean, if you maybe it's not a clarifier, maybe this is to muddy the waters. The PDGA states that all ties for first place must be played off or must be decided upon. A tie for any other position doesn't have to be determined if somebody wants to, because there's a trophy involved. So let's extrapolate this and say you and your three buddies or enemies, you guys tie for 9th. There's a trophy for 9th, but there's three of you and there's only one trophy. So the three of you go out on hole number 1 in a sudden death format, and you guys play 6 holes. And on the 7th hole, well, you're playing off for the 9th place trophy, you get an ace. Do you get the ace pool? Those are the questions that I'm asking you guys. I wanted to read a few answers. I know Sitman says on here that didn't Drew and Austin already ace? Yes, they did. So maybe that's why USDGC applications here, but maybe not. I mean, we can still take this. Drew and Austin have aced. Let's say there's a playoff for first tomorrow, and it's with Martin Hendel and Thomas Gilbert, because we're going to put the two Canadians to play it off. two of the Canadians. And they go into the playoff, and on hole number 3 in sudden death, one of them aces. Do they get a share of the ace pool along with Austin and Drew and whoever else is ace? Do they get a share of the ace pool? That same question basically still applies. That's what I want to know. So, I am going to see what some of the people have come in with. Our league says no, not everyone got to play additional holes. Okay, it's interesting that your league has a specific rule on this. I'm good with that. She's expecting it. I think she should get it. I don't know if you're talking about the ace pool. Expectations aren't always, pleasantly met for everybody. Players in the playoff got extra holes that other players didn't get. Also, the playoff doesn't go on the scorecard as an ace. Well, is there? I mean, there is technically a scorecard. I don't know if I would say it doesn't go on the scorecard as an ace. I mean, they completed the hole, just like if somebody got a 9 and somebody else got a 10, technically the 9 then wins the playoff. But I follow your logic. Michael has a very interesting solution, which I don't agree with. Says, make it easy on you. Have all playoff holes as par 4s. That is some creative thinking, although very not impractical. Why would you not get the ace pool if you hit an ace? I don't see the argument against it. They earn the right to have more chances at the end. They should get the ace pool. And I understand that statement as well. They earn the right to have more chances. One could say, well, yeah, but that's happening in, we'll just say, the recreational women's division, and let's just say they're tied at +10 for the weekend or for the day. The two women tied at +10 for the day. They're going to play extra holes. Is that fair by your logic to the FPO division that the winner shot -10? So because they shot considerably better overall on the day. I don't know if I follow the logic of they earn the right to have more. I mean, it should be almost more advantageous to say, hey, everyone that won your division outright, you get one extra throw on a hole for the ace pool at that point. I feel like that's more earning it than saying, well, hey, you tied, or hey, there's 9 of you that tied. You guys all did super good job. Therefore, you're going to get more chances at the ace pool. But I hear what you're saying. Tie for 9th. Tie for 9th, flip disc. Terry, doesn't matter. Tournament play. Ace counts, playoff or not. Okay. Well, here's what I'm going to say to this, and then I'll let this one die for you guys. As I replied to the actual post, I said that as a player playing in a tournament of that nature, if I'm in that situation and I get an ace in a sudden death playoff in the Masters division, I don't feel like I should get the ace pool. I had an extra hole or 2 or 4. I may have aced, but I don't feel like I should be rewarded for tying someone when I wish I would have just won outright. So that would have been more better, more advantageous. So as a player, I don't feel like I want that ace pool. I just simply wouldn't want it. As a tournament director who has never explicitly said one way or another, and now I will, I don't feel like it should be handed out either. So my logic's the same. I don't know why you played extra holes. You quote unquote had extra chances. I don't know why you should get the ace pool. That's me. That was a long-winded way to get at that. And I very much, it's funny. There's a Terry Roddy who I've referenced in the last few nights. He's worked for CBS Golf for the last 30 or 50 or 100 years. He's very knowledgeable and PDGA number in like the 3,000 or 4,000s, has been around forever playing golf and promoting golf. And I asked him this very question yesterday when I saw it come up, and he didn't even hesitate. He said, yeah, you get it. Why wouldn't you? So that's when my eyes were open. It is clearly not black and white. And I don't think there is a 100% obvious solution. To me, I don't think you should get it. But so you can argue with that one with your friends if you want. Chris says, I've been a TD at many a tournament and paid out the ace pool in a playoff. They earned the extra holes. I like you, Chris, but I don't agree with you there. Let me take that wrench back from you here. Let me click. I'm just kidding. I don't think you can earn extra holes in a sport about throwing the least shot. So Scott's kind of going along with me there. Again, you guys can all argue one way or another. I see both sides. If I was forced to make a decision, though, or continue with what I think, I don't think that it should be. Paul said, ace pool should be negated on playoffs because the regular rounds where everyone is done playing. Regulation round is donezo. I agree with you. Remember that guy that got the 81 million votes? Let's go, Brandon. All right, if you guys want to fight politics, you go about it on your own. This goes, okay. I don't know that I've got a ton more for you guys tonight. Now that we've had that raging debate. Tomorrow, let's do this. I'm going to pull this up for you guys and see if I can click on that. And from there, hopefully I go to the correctly worded website that is weather.com. Things can get really weird quickly. And let's take a look at Rock Hill. I feel like we're somewhat in the clear. Weather.com has let me down plenty of times in my life, so I wouldn't necessarily bank on this. But here, if you look at an hourly forecast, let's look at tomorrow morning. It is showing at 8 o'clock, I believe, is when some of the first cards go off for the throw pink side. 50% chance of rain. It just says showers. Showers throughout. Temps around 70. Looks like the percentage decreases just a little bit. And this continues to say showers and then eventually just cloudy. So might we have rain tomorrow? Yes. Excuse me. Now, will we have weather that's bad enough that halts it? It, by this account, doesn't imply that that would be the case. I was using this a little bit today as we were here in Rock Hill. And we can see some of the weather. Seems like it's going to be fine throughout the night, which doesn't mean much to us. And we'll see if anything develops come morning. 5, 6, 7. I mean, even, you saw really late there at 5:54 a.m. There might be something. Again, as I said last night, I don't believe it till I'm in it. Doesn't really matter. Bring plenty of towels tomorrow. Do those types of things and make sure you're plenty prepped. That's what I would tell everybody instead of counting on what. And for what it's worth, almost every time someone's looked at the weather this week, we were supposed to get rain on Wednesday and rain in conditions on Thursday. We somehow missed it all. And a lot of people have been talking about how the weather that is scheduled to come in or forecasted to come in has broken up largely, and that has something to do with the mountains and everything else around here. I don't live here, so I'm far from a local weather expert, but I feel like we were really blessed with the exception of today. Here's the real question is does anyone make anything of there's 2 scorecards in the entire course today, men or women. There's 2 scorecards that were bogey free. There are only 2 Pauls, individuals named Paul, in the tournament. Those 2 people were the 2 bogey free scorecards today. I'm not going to say mind blown or that I'm going to drink to that. but my mind is blown. Kind of crazy. I mean, I think I spoke yesterday of Paul Ulibarri, really taking a lot of pride in his top 10 finishes and the performances that he's had here so often. All right, Patrick, you're gonna just get like blocked here. I mean, you're pretty much spamming the chat with F the PDGA, and I just don't know how that's how that's useful to anybody at this point. Oh, seriously? Hold on, people. I have to babysit for a moment. We're going to put user in timeout. That's literally what I'm clicking on there. Good story, Patrick. So, 2 Pauls, both go bogey free today. And I was talking about Paul Ulibarri and what he's done. I think he moved up 39, 41, 32 million. He moved it up a lot of positions today with that performance. Let's see if I can click on it real quick. Because clearly very impressive work that he had done out there today. That bogey free round. It might have been like 33 positions to make the move that he did today. 43 positions to move into a tie for 34th. Imagine me transposing some numbers there. Yeah. Doing some work. He had an out of bounds stroke penalty on hole 11, of which he made up for it with a 38-foot putt. He had putts listed today from 49, 60, 38, 38, and 60 feet. So that's good. Pretty impressive. So I thought that was pretty cool. But the two of them, again, maybe there was a weird team discraft meeting with the Pauls last night. And McBeth's like, hey, Captain, I'm thinking about going bogey free. And Yuli's like, yeah, that's a good idea. You should like shoot an 11 and I'll shoot a 7. And they showed up and did it. So again, and Ben Calloway, holy cow, big shout out to him as well. I'm just noticing he moved up into a tie with Paul Ulibarri. He's tied for 34th. He moved up 34 spots by shooting a 5 under today. And he had a very somewhat similar round to Yuli. But he had the 2 bogeys, but he actually had 3. So they were nothing alike. They just both equaled hole 10. Good job, boys. All right. So bogey free. Paul, you're bogey free today. I'm guessing you effed up somewhere. You picked up a bogey somehow. Jed says drink to irrationality. I'll go with that. Terry didn't read any of the good comments, just states a dumb opinion. I mean, some of the quote unquote good comments. I mean, yeah, I'll admit censored's not the right word. I skipped over some dumb stuff. And I'm sure I skipped over some good stuff. I also didn't even see the rest in peace Norm Macdonald. I mean, I can get on board with that. So I'm sure there might be there was a big tangent about Brody. I kind of skipped all of that. To be honest with you, I don't know what that tangent was or where it went. Sorry if there's something else that needs to be addressed. You can post it here. Believe it or not, I can't read every single thing. Daniel says the Brewers won tonight. I don't care about the Brewers. I know I live near Milwaukee. Long story, I won't get into it, but I don't care about the Brewers. I'm a diehard Cubbies fan, even when they suck like they did big time this year. And I have been since I was like 8 years old. So certainly not a bandwagon fan back when they won their first World Series in 100 years. No, I don't think you can be a bandwagon fan of a team that takes 100 years to win a World Series, assuming obviously you were a fan of them well before they won their World Series again. Jed says, I have learned so much tonight during this stream. Won't be coming back. That makes me chuckle, Jed. I don't know what you're looking for, But that makes me chuckle. Are we going to get the numbers on the pay-per-view buys? I don't know. If let me phrase it this way. If they're shared with me and are meant to be shared or are okay to be shared, I'll share them. It's first of all, it's a number I don't know. I'll start there. And then second of all, I'm unsure. I'm certainly no Conor McGregor. Isn't that what he just did recently? Posted to Twitter something about his pay-per-view earnings. And Dana White was asked if he cared or not. And I think he said, I don't give enough. I'm not saying we're the UFC and nobody here is Dana White or Conor McGregor, but if those numbers can be shared and they become, somebody said that they were going to be. I don't know if there's truth to that. There'll probably be, if so, there might be even an article or some kind of write-up or something about that. It is interesting to me. In some ways, I feel like, well, I don't know. No matter, it's a no-win situation. That's what I'm going to spit out. It's a no-win situation. If you release the numbers, somebody's going to say, oh, well, they made too much money. Or if they release the numbers, someone would say, well, they barely made any money. They should have just done it for free. I personally, and whether it's Disc Golf Network or Innova, for instance, or the USDGC, the USDGC is separate from Innova, albeit supported. I just don't see where there's a winning situation there. And then let's just say I'm going to make this up. Let's say $1 million is made, which is not going to be the case. I can almost guarantee. I think, even though I don't know the numbers. Let's say $1 million is made. Then the first argument would be, oh, well, they charged too much. They should have charged half of that, and they should have only made 500,000. Like, there's, in my opinion, I don't know who has anything to gain by those numbers being public, because I feel like the only thing that can come from it is more ridicule and or frustration. That's me. Innova, Disc Golf Network, PDGA, whomever may all have very different opinions. That's just my personal opinion. I feel like you're just inviting yet more warranted or otherwise frustration, no matter what. And somebody could maybe point me to the main reason why I think you could, or the main benefit to releasing those numbers would be that you are then proving, hey, this many people supported this model or this mechanism. I guess that is the other flip side of where I think you would find your biggest advantage to those numbers being out there and saying, hey, there might have been a lot of squawking and complaining and confusion and frustration and squawking and complaining online, but blank amount of people still participated, still supported it, still bought into it, still were part of it. That would be the other flip side of where I think it could be an advantage to actually listing it. So that's what I'll say about that. I'm going to scroll down, and just a quick reminder, I need to cut this short or cut this in a few minutes because my hotel internet 24-hour reset will likely be any minute now. Last night it was at 12:21. So if it's a full 24 hours, that means it's coming up. So this is going to be ending soon. I'm going to put you guys out of your misery here. Paul watched it while driving home. That sounds naughty, Paul. Martin wasn't working the 12-hour shifts. I would have bought it. That's okay. I mean, I'm totally good with people not buying it. Just you're obviously missing out on some of what's available. That's all. I mean, by no means am I beating down anyone's door saying, buy it, buy it, buy it. You're an a-hole if you don't buy it. You're wrong if you don't buy it. I'm totally good with people not buying it. Ben says I'm saving this to use as a sleep meditation audio. Sounds good, Ben. I'm getting a little nasally. I don't know if there's any like ASMR you're looking for, but reach out. Maybe I could do that privately for you. Disc golf is an accessible sport. It is not about the Joneses and the false narrative of entitlement. Don't make me get on a soapbox about everything in disc golf. Let me rephrase this. Nothing in disc golf is free. Nothing. The course you play at your local park, Somebody designed that. They got paid for it or they didn't. They probably volunteered some time. The baskets, they cost money. The concrete, the people that came and put in the concrete, the local club that put up hundreds of hours to mix concrete because you couldn't afford it, getting it from the local company, all costs money. Costs somebody money to mow the grass out at the park. Taxpayers, maybe it's done by a club. I mean, I could go on and on and on. If you think about it, nothing's truly free. It just might be free to you. And I'm a guy who has helped put in somewhere in the neighborhood of 30-ish courses, design or otherwise. And most of those are free to play for people. But at some point, somewhere along the line, money was exchanged. I don't know why we have this funny notion that certain companies should be making money, but then other individuals and other companies shouldn't. And then everybody should be able to go do this for free. I'll end it there. Whether you're agreeing with me or not, I don't know. I'd have to reread it. But my point is, something that's free to you just means somebody else, somewhere along the line, it wasn't free for. That's my main point. Just like Nelson says, freedom isn't free. I don't know if I need to hoist some kind of flag or do anything after that. I like disc golf, so I watch it and play it. Pay to play and parks. Only unvaccinated didn't buy it, except for Jomez coverage. That's free. But is it? Like it's free on it is free. It's free to consume on the internet. Somebody needs internet. Are you paying to get the internet? Is that your mobile provider? Are they giving you so many minutes free? It maybe isn't free to the tournament directors who have to pay for it for Jomez to be there, or the people that pay for commercials to be on Jomez, or Jomez to pay his cameraman. None of that's free. It's free to watch. Yeah, I can agree with that. It depends on how much you want to break it down. It's free for you guys to be watching this right now, in theory. I'd say it's free. Some people would say, well, we're giving you our time and attention. You could make that argument. I don't know if I always buy that one. But yeah. Pay-per-view for disc golf is idiotic. Okay. I mean, you can believe that. Have you seen Dunapace at USDGC? I have not. Dave Dunapace, one of the co-founders of Innova. I did not. Public courses are free to play. As we get more into the sport, we volunteer. The fact that kids from all communities can play is one of the things I love about it. Accessible does not mean free. Yes. I'm so mad and annoyed that I can't watch disc golf this weekend. You can watch it, Patrick. That's the awkward thing. You just don't want to put up the money. Maybe you can't. I'm okay with that too, but you can watch it. So sorry, dude, but shut the F up. Okay, Patrick. Giving your time is more valuable than giving your money. All right, guys. Will they trespass someone for live streaming it on YouTube? I know there's ways that they can go after, just like anybody can go after pirated streams, mirrored streams, whatever they're all called, all of those types of things. I know action has been taken for some things in the past. So clearly I would not recommend you do anything that's against typical terms of service or things that are generally illegal. As a rule of thumb, you're playing with fire every time you do that. Can you do it? Could you get away with it? Maybe. Could I, in good conscience, recommend that? No. So, all right, you guys everyone wants to grow the sport. With growth comes change. Change is not free. That is true. That's a silly argument. That's like saying it isn't free because I had to buy a TV is completely irrelevant. Again, I don't have time to argue about all of that. I know I've provided thousands and thousands, literally thousands of videos at no cost to lots of people. So I don't think I need to be that guy's. Well, Patrick, you are such a child. It is actually really funny. And I'm going to have to make you now go through the issue of getting a new account or signing up a whole new username now because you're being such a petulant child. All right, guys, I'm going to call that. It's been incredible. So many of you, thank you for joining tonight. last night, the night before. I plan on doing it again tomorrow night now that I'm three episodes in, and it's been a lot of fun. I hope you found at least the tiniest sliver of value. If you didn't, all I can do is apologize at that point. Um, Looking forward to Championship Saturday. Looking forward to talking to more people tomorrow, giving up more content, and crowning some champions. Will they be repeat champions? Will they be first time champions? Or who knows? It, it's way too up in the air to have any idea. So thank you. Thank you for joining. Thank you to all the super chatters, Patreon supporters that I have. Just to give you this free, this free nightly recap. It's not free. I have to pay for my liquid courage to get on here because you guys make me nervous. So maybe it's free to you and not to me. I appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow night. Should be the final show for the USDGC and the Throw Pink Women's Disc Golf Championships. Again, all these comments and thoughts are the exclusive thoughts of my own, and I do not represent during these shows. I do not in any official way represent any other company or entity besides myself as the disc golf guy. That's the hat I'm wearing or not right now. Appreciate it. Love you guys. I'm going to officially sign off. Let me click on this. This is fancy. I'm going to take that down. And then I'm going to go back to here. Good night. Are you guys still there? Should I click the button? Stop streaming?